Welcome, dear colleagues. I would suggest to start our work, despite the very not quiet night. We should have already got used to the situation, and we should work in any situation. As you are aware, this last night Ukraine was subject to missile and drone shelling. And you may know that the capital city was under shelling as well. I think it would be the stimulus, the impetus for us to work even harder for the victory. I would like to say good morning, but just welcome, dear friends. Today we are launching the third International Forum for the Ukrainian Diaspora, which is focused on the role of Ukrainian diaspora globally in promoting our business interests through market internationalization. But before we go into to this discussion, just want you to remind that today, the 21st of September, today is the International Peace Day. So it's not only we that who knows that fact, and so that is why I think we have this very interesting start of the day. Today we have here the representatives of Ukrainian Association for Foreign Policy, the representatives of the ministries, and who promote our business, diplomatic and national interests globally. Our today's forum is the third one, as I've already mentioned. I am sure that here we have the people who participated in our previous forums that took place in 2018 and 2018 here in Kyiv in the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I'd like to emphasize the importance of our today's event. More people were planned to participate, but while in the first forum, the representatives of 18 countries were present, and the second representative of 24 countries. Today, we have representatives of almost 50 countries globally registered for the event, and it is due to our partners that this event is possible. Just like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to all our partners who supported our initiative. First of all, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, our Ukrainian embassies abroad, who have provided us great support, and they continue to support our Ukrainian economy in the time of war and after the war is over. You know, I support the idea that since our family has to build something, let's start building using the new models, new innovative approaches, and it is for our future perspective. I'd like to mention our partners and sponsors who provided their support to have this event in this format. It is the GIZ, and also the International Migration Organization. Taking into account the specifics of our event, just want to inform you that in case of air raid alarms, we are not going to leave this hall because currently we are actually in the shelter. So we'll continue our work. Today we'll have our two sections. Here we will be working till 11:40, and the second part will start after that in the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And the second part would be a hybrid format, both online and offline. So we have many speakers who wanted to present their presentations, so we were forced to limit the time for their speeches. So kindly ask all our speakers, please keep the schedule, and I will have to warn you if you are behind the timeline. So I have 3 empty chairs next to me, and I would like to kindly invite the first 3 speakers. We have Mr. Marko Chmentan, the Deputy Chief of Mission, International Organization of Migration. Mr. Marko, please take a seat. So we are still waiting our guest from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and as soon as they join us, they will take these seats. Just Mr. Sergei Nizhensky, advisor to the Deputy Prime Minister for European and Euro-Atlantic Integration of Ukraine, Ambassador of the American Charitable Foundation, Help Heroes of Ukraine. Dear colleagues, at the beginning of our meeting, I would like to draw your attention to the screen and like to suggest the video message by Mr. Gennady Chizhikov, President of the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He is on his business trip abroad, and unfortunately he is not able to participate in person, but I think his video message would be really valuable. So please. So, dear guests and participants of the 3rd International Forum of International Business Day and the role of Ukrainian diaspora in economy recovery through market internationalization. I'm happy to share my views on how diaspora could help in the recovery of Ukrainian business. From the point of full-scale aggression, Russian aggression of Ukraine, the Ukrainian diaspora has supported us a lot. The activities of our diaspora is really effective and should continue, because without activities of Ukrainian abroad, it would be much harder for us to maintain the support of our partners. It is not just the military conflict in Eastern Europe, it is the challenge to all the civilized Western civilization and its values. And the support which is provided by Ukraine is a systemic work, a result of systemic work of each and every Ukrainian. We express our gratitude to all Ukrainians abroad, but economic potential of Ukrainians abroad is underestimated. It is a great potential, and we should pay big attention to it. Would like to emphasize a couple of key aspects which are really important for reaching this goal. First, the potential of Ukrainian diaspora. Ukrainian diaspora is a great treasure which could support our Ukrainian economy. Its relation could be a catalyzer in implementing the mechanism which would help to use these capacities. So creating favorable environment. We have to create the environmental economic supportive environment in Ukraine for further development of economy. We provide the environment that is more attractive for investments. The third is diversification of Ukrainian exports. Dependence of limited number of markets would result in dependence. And with the with the support of Ukrainian diaspora, we could get more access to more markets. The fourth is attracting investments to Ukraine. I'm sure if we create supportive environment in Ukraine, the investors globally would be happy to come to the country. The fifth is sustainable economic growth. It is our aim, and it would help us to create the space in the country where innovations are valued and encouraged. Today, in our today's meeting, we have the representatives of more than 50 countries globally. Our aim is not just to get together, but also to share our experience and knowledge. It's really a very constructive and helpful process. The representatives of Ukrainian diaspora who has established their businesses abroad can share their experience with the Ukrainian businessmen. This could be the basis for new partnerships and cooperation. Representatives of Ukrainian diaspora could show us the risks and possibilities in Ukrainian in global market. They could share the new best innovative practices, and based on this experience, Ukraine can create a strong and innovative economy, attract more investments and become more competitive in the global market. It could also help to develop new business relationships. A good news is also that we will create a new task force which would be work under the UCCI and would implement the new initiatives that would create more partnership and cooperation. I'm really grateful to all the participants of our today's event. Together we can reach higher success and develop the prosperous Ukraine. In the end, I'd like to emphasize that our cooperation with the Ukrainian diaspora is not just the commitment, but the new potential for all of us. Thank you for your cooperation with the Ukrainian diaspora. Together we can do a lot for our country. Thank you. After this encouraging speech, I would like to invite Mr. Yanis Aisalniaks, Policy Office of Ukrainian Support Group, European Neighborhood Policy and Enlargement Negotiations. Yanis, over to you. He will participate online. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I hope the sound is good. So, Your Excellencies, honorable members of the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, business representatives worldwide, dear partners, ladies and gentlemen, Russia's war on Ukraine has had devastating economic and social consequences. The private sector has been significantly affected with disruptions of supply chains, trade routes, and business operations causing far-reaching global consequences, such as food, energy, and cost of living crisis. Ukraine has responded with remarkable determination, strength, and resilience, maintaining macroeconomic stability, functioning banking sector, and public services while mobilizing resources to fight the Russian aggression on multiple fronts. Since the start of Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, EU has mobilized around 81 billion euros of assistance. 64 billion have been made available by the EU member states and the European financial institutions. In addition, further 17 billion has been made available from the EU budget for member states which are hosting people under temporary protection. The EU support also includes 18 billion of macro-financial assistance plus to Ukraine, which has covered a substantial part of Ukraine's funding needs in 2023. The EU has focused on three strands. Firstly, assisting Ukraine in short term to maintain provision of vital basic services. Secondly, providing humanitarian relief. And thirdly, supporting the rehabilitation of critical infrastructure, ensuring businesses can continue working and exporting and maintaining economic stability. Ensuring economic recovery and private sector engagement already now is crucial in order to sustain business activity in Ukraine and generate revenues to the budget, despite all the current challenges to businesses. Important work is already ongoing on the mobilization of the private sector, including discussions on the possible trade and war insurances together with other partners, including World Bank and EBRD, which is an essential tool to continue and resume business activity. The EU cooperation programs have been adjusted to provide urgent support, such as creation of new income for internally displaced persons and relocated enterprises. We are supporting macro, small, medium businesses most affected by the war, ensuring their business continuity, providing access to finance, helping companies to retain staff, assisting them to provide basic goods and services needed by the Ukrainians. Last year, on 23rd of June, the European Council took a historic decision to recognize the European perspective and grant the status of candidate country to Ukraine. And this is a clear message that the future of Ukraine and its citizens lies within the European Union. It is also going to be a game changer for business environment and businesses in Ukraine. EU is already reflecting on a long-term agenda and support to Ukraine's reconstruction. However, today, the main focus remains on ensuring financial support for Ukraine in a coming year and months. The EU has promised to stand by Ukraine's side as long as it takes. The Commission has adopted the Ukraine facility, which is 50 billion euro support package to support Ukraine's efforts to sustain macro-financial stability and recovery, as well as modernize the country while implementing key reforms on EU accession track, including those for the support to business environment and investment climate. For the successful implementation of the facility, the government of Ukraine is preparing a coherent medium-term, multi-year reform and investment plan, focusing on fostering economic growth, resilience, and modernization, by leveraging Ukraine's potential, supporting the accession process with the EU. The Ukrainian and international private sector, along with public sector, will play a major role in recovery and reconstruction. Private sector will be involved in many areas like privatization, public-private partnerships, infrastructure reconstruction from housing for IDPs to crucial infrastructure renewal. And Ukrainian businesses all over the world will play an important role to rebuild and integrate Ukrainian economy in the European and international value chains. Ukraine will be rebuilt back better while implementing the reforms expected from the candidate country, aligning with the EU standards and laying foundation for green and digital transitions and green and digital Ukraine. Today, I wish us all productive and inspiring exchange on how to further capitalize on wealth and knowledge of Ukrainian diaspora worldwide. Together, we will rebuild Ukraine. Thank you, and Slava Ukraine.
Героям слава. Щиро дякую, Янісе, за вашу участь у нашому форумі і
Thank you, Yanis, so much for your participation in our forum and for the support provided by the EU so far and in the future based on the situation, for your understanding of the situation currently we have in Ukraine, and for your support in provided to Ukraine. Dear colleagues, we also have one more speaker. It's Ms. Lyudmila Yenina, Director of Economic Diplomacy and Sectional Diplomacy Department, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine. Thank you. Sorry. Just wanted to give floor to you immediately right now, if you're ready.
I welcome all the audience. First of all, I would like to express my big thanks to the organizers of this event for this initiative to organize the third forum of Ukrainian diaspora and for giving me the floor. I am deeply convinced that the results that we achieved today will enable to provide for the more specific steps to support Ukrainian businesses and to adapt it to the nowadays realities. And my sincere wishes to reach this to all the participants of this event. Unfortunately, through the full-scale hostilities from the side of Russian Federation, Ukrainian diplomacy faces great challenges, being prerequisited by the changes in the global economy as well as the global increased tension and negative outcomes of the war in Ukraine. But notwithstanding all these factors, we Ukrainians in our country, we hold on, and I really do hope that these challenges will open doors to new opportunities. And this is up to us Ukrainians to use it at our best. And the priorities for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is to support the interests of Ukraine, to help the businesses in developing their export-import activities, enable them in these activities, and recover the economy and the businesses. We understand the challenges that face Ukrainian businesses, and we try with all our efforts within the framework of our opportunities. We try to do everything to reach the practical outcomes. And the new realities for the foreign cooperation really require the specific support for Ukrainian businesses to open new markets for them, to resolve the problems and issues, namely cooperating with foreign partners to participate in the international expos, and namely in order to improve the economic potential of our country. Since December 2021, we implement the project Ukraine for outer world in order to support the foreign relationship to help SMEs to reach their export potential, as well as the whole Ukraine. And this is a platform, G2B, unites the diplomacy and economy in order to recover Ukrainian economy, and not only to recover but develop it. In fact, this platform, this name is Nazovny, or the outer world. We help also the diplomats to adapt to new realities, which are rather difficult, namely for Ukraine nowadays. So we registered over 7,000 of export applications from over 4,000 of Ukrainian companies, which represent the whole spectrum of Ukrainian industry, from the heavy industry up to IT industry. In fact, the ministry provides the expert, informative, diplomatic support and other, to help them to diversify the economy connections and to reach the global economic events. We also maintain the direct connections with businesses and contacts. We help them to place their applications on the platform, and directly by mail and by phone. The ministry is looking forward to open new markets for our exporters. Namely, one of the priorities to open the 4,000 Asian countries, and we hope that we will help to streamline the entry into these markets for Ukrainian businesses. We also would like to mention the role and importance of Ukrainian diaspora to help the Ukrainians who are now staying abroad, since in these times when Ukraine goes through very hard experiences, so the voice and support of those who stay outside Ukraine is very important, and as well as their role is very important. And that's why I would like to express my deepest gratitude for you to organize such events, since we are the foreign relations or agency. We're trying to show and declare their readiness to every kind of cooperation, and we stand shoulder by shoulder with you and the whole Ukraine in order to reach the best achievements for us. But first of all, to win over the evil and the abuse of the international rules. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear Lyudmila. And with your presence here, I would like to express in person my gratitude on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Ukraine. Also, since for us it's very important to feel the support from the state, and I think that a cooperation of the ministry with the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry is also very important, since we also make our input to the foreign economic relationship development. Well, I would like also to invite to the floor the representative, the president of the Ukrainian World Congress, Paolo Grod.
Мені приємно брати участь у цьому третьому міжнародному
Dear colleagues, I'm very happy to take part in this third Congress. As the president of the Ukrainian World Congress, I would like to say that I'm really the voice of the Ukrainian diaspora and the support to Ukraine and Ukrainians is the first priority of ours. And the flourishing of Ukraine is the important component of this Euro-Atlantic vector. And we are actively promoting the economic interests of the Ukraine. And me, again, also together with Olena Koshar, the vice president, we try to establish the chambers of commerce and industry of Ukraine and also to support in France, Romania and other countries of the world. We support and promote the Ukrainian business associations in establishing formal liaisons. And for me, it's really a very important role to bring Ukraine to the foreign practices of conduct business. We try to find the jobs for Ukrainians who came abroad. We help Ukrainians who live outside of Ukraine and also we support Ukrainian refugees. First of all, we try to find out how to use your talents in order to promote Ukrainian business all over the world. And I call upon all Ukrainians who work outside Ukraine, please think over how you will come back to Ukraine with the new talents, with the new finances, where you will invest them, how you will make your inputs to the recovery of Ukrainian economy. In particular, in G7, the main driver for SME is the SME. And yes, the Ukraine is now in the state of war, but we need, first of all, to focus on investing in Ukraine right now. Nevertheless, your aims are charitable or not, Ukraine is the place for innovations, and this is the place that we have to develop right now to create the basis for the massive and large-scale recovery of Ukraine. Ukraine has a new status, really inspiring. What's before not possible, now it is possible. Let's go to work. Glory to Ukraine, glory to heroes. I'm deeply convinced that the Ukrainian World Congress is a powerful mechanism in our work of nowadays, and will stay the same, and it will increase qualitatively and quantitatively. So I call upon those who joined us online, please unite on the positive basis, since it's up to us to protect and recover Ukraine. And now, colleagues, I would like to invite to take the floor Armin Hoffman, Program Director for EU for Business, SME Recovery, Competitiveness and Internationalization from the Deutsche Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit, GIZ. They are our sponsors, with the help of whom we really make it possible to hold this event. Please, Armin, the floor is yours.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. With pleasure, I have taken up the invitation for today's important event. And within the frame of our EU-German program, we have a special focus on the diaspora community of Ukraine, considering its potential to boost the national economy, especially in these difficult times since this war has started. Let me briefly outline our fields of support of the program so that you can get a better picture of what we are doing and how you can participate and benefit of the EU for business, SME, recovery, competitiveness, and internationalization. It's jointly financed by European Union and the German government. We have an overall amount of up to now 66 million euro, and it's implemented by the GIZ, the Deutsche Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit. Our scope of the current phase is from 2020 up to 25, and the EU business program is aimed at supporting the economic stability, recovery, and growth of Ukraine, creating better conditions for the development of the Ukrainian small and medium-sized enterprises. Our main target group are the SMEs up to 250 employees, and we are working on all levels. So that means our program comprises 5 pillars, and on our macro level, we are supporting the national institutions responsible for the implementation of the national export strategy of Ukraine and the free trade agreement with EU to improve the regulatory and administrative potential. This is a very important part so that it's easier for SMEs from Ukraine to export to the EU. In addition, we support 21 sectoral business clusters and support up to 9 mid-sized cities in the field of local economic development. This we will do on the basal level. And in addition, we are providing access to knowledge, educational courses, training, and mentoring, coaching programs, consultancy, etc. And we are providing also access to finance with micro, medium, and large grants, but also coverage of interest rates, so we subsidize sometimes loans to help the SMEs to have the liquidity they need. We are fostering experience and knowledge exchange with internship programs, study visits, and of course, what we are doing is we support the business intermediary landscape in Ukraine. One of them are the Chamber of Commerce and Industries, our partners, to help our SMEs in particular to be capable to export abroad. I want to share and emphasize the promoting business opportunities for the companies by participation in trade fairs. I recommend the B2B missions as well as the access to online matchmaking platforms for exporters, presentation of matchmaking tools, and today we will get also later the presentation of the leverage platform, which is a very good tool to match with business partners in the European Union. The core topic of today, I also would like to share with you what we have done. Because recently our program has assessed the engagement potential of the Ukrainian diaspora and explore opportunities for their involvement in business development and local economic initiatives. A comprehensive study has been conducted by the United Nations University Merit to achieve these objectives, focusing on the Ukrainian diaspora, and we have selected 5 EU countries, namely the Czech Republic, Germany, Italy, Poland, and Spain. The study employed quantitative and qualitative research methods to gather information about diaspora's locations, engagement, economic situation, motivation, and interest in investing in Ukraine. I think this is a very important result we can then also share with you because it shows the potential and what has been already done and what could be achieved. The provided reports present an insight of the derived from the study and the mapping of the Ukrainian diaspora organizations, an analysis of their orientation profiles, an examination of their digital presence, and an assessment of the economic development engagement. I think the study can also show the diversity within the Ukrainian diaspora and the broad range of entrepreneurial activities they engage across the selected European countries. These activities encompass existing ventures carried forward from Ukraine and new enterprises launched in the host countries. The diaspora participation spans sectors such as agriculture, trade, services, and technology, contributing to the local economies while maintaining connections with their homeland. The report sheds light in Ukrainian entrepreneurs' challenges in their host countries, and these challenges encompasses language barriers, cultural differences, unfamiliar regulatory landscapes, limited access to funding, and the psychological burden of the displacement. The context of war and ongoing instability further amplifies these difficulties, impacting both individual and collective challenges. The study identified the following recommendations for policymakers and relevant organizations in the field of Ukrainian diaspora business and wishing to mobilize and further empower diaspora business and civil society. Namely, we have looked into investment guarantees, we looked into policy advocacy, we targeted funding mechanisms for diaspora startups and businesses, incubator programs, mentoring, market access support, network opportunities, as well as gender-sensitive support. The results of the study on engagement potential of the Ukrainian diaspora is going to be published soon, and please follow us on our Facebook page where you can get all the detailed results. What I would like to also outline is that this is a very good opportunity to enable our diaspora to contribute to the success of the Ukrainian SMEs and economy, and we would like to see that this will be maybe also a good supporting part. Foremost, I would like strongly to recommend to take the opportunity of today's event to unite as a diaspora for the Ukraine economy and take advantage to foster the innovative potential the economy of Ukraine has, and the SME in particular. Free from the GIZ and our broker, we are ready to support such initiative. And I'm looking forward also that we will have a successful International Business Day, and I hope that the results will be tangible. Our team, who is also present today here in the event, will be ready to answer questions, or will be ready for you to receive requests, so to see how we can deal with this. Дякую. And Slava Ukraina.
Героям слава. Thanks a lot, Armin, for support and assistance from your organization. You participating in our forum. Thank you very much once more. Колеги, зараз я хотів би запросити до слова.
Now, dear colleagues, I would like to invite Mr. Marco Cimenton, the representative of one of our partner organizations. He is the Deputy Chief of a Mission, International Organization of Migration. Marco, over to you. Дуже дякую.
First and foremost, I would like to thank you for inviting us here, and also for asking us to co-sponsor this great event. For us, it's a true privilege, and it's also very good to see that our partnership with the UCCI is actually expanding and going in the right direction. Thank you very much. This is very much a laudable initiative. I also would like to thank everybody who's here offline, despite the harsh wake-up this morning, and thank those who are joining online. I'm sure that for many, this is an unusual, very early time of the day, or an unusually late time of the day. So thanks for the dedication and being able to participate with us in this important forum. Normally, when I attend these kind of events about trade, people start raising eyebrows and start asking, why is the International Organization for Migration involved in such thematics? Well, I'm pretty comfortable here today because I think that from the title we don't need to really provide any more explanations, and that everybody is very well aware about the crucial link that there is between trade development and mobility. I think that we can all comfortably say that the trade in the volumes and diversity that it has reached nowadays could not be there without the element of migration, be it for facilitating cross-border trade, be it in creating a network, be it in creating a demand in the local markets for products that the diaspora see as coming from the country they call home. Now, there are a lot of examples for this. We can look at the role that the Korean diaspora, for example, had in opening the US market in the 70s, in the 80s to Korean manufacturers. We have other illustrious examples from India tech industry connected to the Silicon Valley. But of course, talking about Ukraine, one very big example is the role of technical capacities in the diaspora linking with the ITC business around the world. Now, there are countless examples of this, and I hope that today we will have the possibility to discuss about many of these. The bad news is that this does not come automatically. It takes time, it takes efforts. The good news is that there's really a lot of things that we can do, tools that we can develop, and network that we can make to make this happen. And it might start here, or it has actually already started, but here this is going to give an additional push to it. This can start from outside the country, and it can start from inside the country. And I think that the businesses today in Ukraine, Ukrainian businesses, have gotten to a very specific juncture. You will remember we were discussing about this earlier last year, and since then, IOM has been able to support around 600 businesses, Ukrainian businesses that were displaced due to the invasion, and support them in reinvigorating their plans and seeking new opportunities. But soon we realized that this is not enough. The Ukrainian market might not be enough to keep them afloat, and that's where diaspora becomes extremely important for that kind of networking that allows to branch out. At the same time, the market changes. I'm pretty sure that you have much better analysis than whatever I will be able to bring to the table, that now a lot of the market is reoriented towards the European Union. And with that comes regulations, and with that comes standards that the diaspora is better aware of and can help in this transition. Now, on the IOM side, we've started with some initiative trying to bridge between the Ukrainian businesses and counterparts outside Ukraine. One example was a recent event where we brought 6 businesses to Norway at the Oslo Design Fair with the support of the Norwegian Chamber of Commerce, and it's already bearing its fruit. So it's not something impossible, it's not something difficult. Some of the partnerships that were created there are already starting to look in the possibilities for Ukrainian companies to export or to produce different type of products here and then bring them to feed the Norwegian market. Now I turned the page on the wrong side. We've also been in regular contact with a lot of other organizations today, the Zovny, Canadian Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce, the Ukrainian World Congress, and we're very much looking forward to expanding this network and these partnerships. So please, if you find that there is an interest at your side, feel free to reach out, and we're happy to see how we can join forces to promote these dynamics. Today is a great opportunity for us to learn from each other, and so I really would like to wish everyone a very, very fruitful workshop. And I hope I don't sound too boisterous if I say that this is hopefully just the beginning, and there is a lot that can be done, and fortunately a brighter future ahead. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Marco. Many thanks for the warm words and your assistant. Колеги, я хотів би зараз запросити.
Dear colleagues, I would like to invite Mr. Sergei Nizhinsky advisor to the Deputy Prime Minister of the European and Euro-Atlantic Integration of Ukraine, ambassador of the American charitable foundation Help Heroes of Ukraine. So, Sergei, I would kindly ask to keep the schedule and the timeline. Dear colleagues, participants of our today's event, first of all, I'd like to express my gratitude for the invitation, because I have the honor to represent the Ukrainian diaspora in Chicago. One of its components is the Association of Businesses, who managed on the second day of the full-scale aggression in Ukraine to unite majority of Ukrainians in Illinois and to establish the charitable foundation Help Heroes of Ukraine, which managed to coordinate competitors, partners, and all ethnical Ukrainians in Ukraine to get the result that we have today. Actually, more than $42 million of support to Ukraine, more than 300 vehicles handed over to armed forces of Ukraine. But we also understand that business atmosphere is very much helpful to our efforts. Like to say that one of the military generals in the US said that logistics is the key in getting victory, because we do realize that the economic front really needs additional efforts and additional energy. Back in 2016, when we were the part of the expert group under the Cabinet of Ministers and developed the first export strategy of Ukraine, we were talking about the replacement of Russian market for other global markets. Today, we do realize that a modernization of the relevant export areas and increase in turnover has been is the key. On one side, COVID and COVID-related situation made adjustments to the policy, but COVID was a challenge. It was a challenge for Ukraine. While because of COVID, Ukraine got the possibility to enter the Scandinavian market. And while Silpo and Novus chains, while exporting goods and food from Italy and other countries, several years ago we could see some Russian companies as mediator. Now we cannot see them in the chain. I am providing the case studies because it is the best way to understand the role how the diaspora embassies and the relevant business abroad the important role. For example, back in 2018, we emphasized the export of honey, and we couldn't understand why it was exported not directly to China but via Belarusian companies, because they said that because of political limitation it was possible. Currently, Ukraine cannot be constrained in increase of its turnover and exports, and we should do our best so that we could not just talk about the free trade zone with China, but increase our capacities. We were 3 years ago we were talking about the Arabic countries. And at that time, the turnover was $300,000, which was just nothing. Why? Because we had intermediaries from other countries who were engaged in such contracts. So focusing on direct contracts, on establishing joint partnerships with businesses with other countries is the best way to destroy the former business relations with Russia. The colleague from the foreign minister emphasized the use of the platform which supports such contacts, and it is really valuable. The case studies that I have just provided should inspire those who are choosing whether to open business abroad or in the country. So I've mentioned that during the war, Ukraine has become even more attractive for investments. And some of my friends say, how can I state that? Because Ukraine is really in a very hard times now. But quite often we are talking about exports possibilities, but exports is not just goods. It's first and foremost human capital. And when I see the graduates of Ukrainian universities, I'm just back from Albania and saw 2 Albanians who are the graduates of Ukrainian universities. They opened their best businesses and they are our Ukrainian ambassadors in their countries. So the education potentials and agents and their graduates are ambassadors of agents of changes abroad. So I'd like to reiterate once again that it's not only the role of diaspora is the key, but also the education and increasing awareness is important to clarify why it is important to develop business in Ukraine. In no country you can find the favorable conditions that our Ukrainian third group businessmen enjoy. So currently in Ukraine, it's quite easy to open the business and to enjoy the favorable tax regime in Ukraine. These are the study cases or the cases that the environment in Ukraine is favorable. Thank you very much, Sergei. I do agree with you. Thank you for the real assessment of the situation both in Ukraine and around Ukraine, and for the practical steps recommended by you. And I do agree that one of the key tasks of our government is not establishing continuous relations with our Ukrainian diaspora abroad, but establishing and setting up the environment which would be favorable for the Ukrainians who left the country because of the war. So thank you very much again. Dear colleagues, today we also have the welcome speeches from our colleagues and representatives from the Association of Ukrainian Foreign Policy. It's Professor Alexander Sharov. He is Doctor of Economic Science. As you are aware, Ukraine Foreign Policy Association represents the best experience of Ukrainian diplomacy accumulated for for the independence of Ukraine. And here we have Mr. Valery Tsibukh, the chair of the association, and like to express our gratitude for you for your efforts in supporting the UCCI. And we also have the online welcome speech by Professor Alexander Sharov. And together with Alexander Sharov, we will have Professor Ruben Azizyan, chairman of the New Zealand Institute of International Affairs, Auckland branch. I've mentioned that more than 50 representatives of more than 50 countries are participating in our today's event. So, Mr. Alexander Sharov, the floor is yours. Thank you, Valery Volodymyrych, for this opportunity to represent the position of our Ukraine Foreign Policy Association. Although it looks like very natural, because as you have mentioned, the association is has a very close relations with the Ukrainian CCI, and we pay a lot of attention to economic development of Ukrainian communities abroad. And today, a lot has been said that Ukrainian diaspora has a significant economic potential, and it also relates not so-called old diaspora, but also the new economic communities abroad that have shifted from the stage of hired workers and are currently engaged in businesses and entrepreneurship by establishing their own companies. It's well known that Ukrainian diaspora has invested a lot in Ukrainian economy. In the recent years, the amount is about 18 billion dollars. Sorry. So, but we consider our economic relations as a two-way road. It's not about the possibility to transfer foreign currency here and to then come back to Ukraine and establish new businesses here in Ukraine. The Ukraine has to support its citizens abroad.
The citizens have created small and medium enterprises in order to increase not only the economic but also political role, since we will create really a powerful lobby abroad thanks to that. In my time when I was a diplomat in Portugal, we implemented the pilot project to support the local Ukrainian diaspora in Portugal. Namely, open the credit lines and providing loans together with private bank and local banks in order to create the economic chains for Ukrainian businesses. And the previous speakers mentioned that these the relationships should be not only established but also strengthened, since it is very important for the post-war recovery of Ukraine, and also taking profits of this event together with Ukrainian Council abroad, and also the representatives of Ukrainian diaspora, and also the Chamber of Trade of Ukraine. Yes. Well, so there was like some time ago. Yes, we tried to make it, but unfortunately it didn't work. But I hope that nowadays it will be much better, and with the support of this let's say more let's say situation for in a new let's say management for Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, since it will work much better since we did it together with the Australian Institute and Ukrainian Association in New Zealand. It will make it possible now. And now I would like to provide the floor to the representatives of New Zealand Ukrainian Association, if it is possible. Volodymyr, thank you. Thank you, Alexander. We just wait for Ruben Azizan contacting us.
This opportunity to participate in this very distinguished forum. My special thanks also to Professor Sharov, who I owe this opportunity because we had a recent discussion with the Ukrainian Foreign Policy Association, and my appearance today in front of you is very much as a result of our very productive discussions with the association. I am probably the farthest representative for this forum because I am currently in Auckland, New Zealand, which is 16,800 kilometers away from Kyiv. But the distance hasn't been a problem in terms of New Zealand's very close engagement, involvement, and support for Ukraine's fight against aggression, in providing all sorts of diplomatic, military training, and other support to Ukraine in these very difficult and challenging times. I would say that Ukrainian public is, the New Zealand public is fully supportive of New Zealand government actions that cover a number of areas. One is supporting the rules-based international system, providing some specific concrete aid, but also influencing some of New Zealand's regional partners who oftentimes need additional encouragement and explanation about what's going on in Ukraine. Unfortunately, the trade relations and economic relations between New Zealand and Ukraine continue to be relatively small. We are talking about around $30 million of trade volume a year. And I don't think that is something that cannot be improved. Our Institute of International Affairs, and I am the chair of the Auckland branch. Auckland is the largest city in New Zealand. We have 1/3 of New Zealand population, small New Zealand population in Auckland, but also Auckland is a business capital of New Zealand. And that gives us this additional incentive to look into the business and economic opportunities between New Zealand and Ukraine. The role of the Institute is basically to enhance public awareness, New Zealand public awareness of international relations. And there's nothing more important today than raising the awareness about the war against Ukraine. We conducted a number of activities. We had a senior official from NATO. We had visiting scholars from various countries who talked about Ukraine. But we are adding some new dimension. Very soon we are going to organize a special panel fully represented by Ukrainian diaspora and communities to talk about various opportunities that Ukraine offers to New Zealand. And one of them is the economic opportunity and the reasons why New Zealanders should be looking at Ukraine not just as a victim of aggression of today, but also a country that can offer a long-term productive collaboration. Our connections with Ukrainian diaspora are very tight. We have members of Ukrainian diaspora in our organization, but we are also very much supporting the activities. And if I may, I would like actually to offer a slightly expanded definition of diaspora. I think it is more than an ethno-national group that cares about Ukraine. I think given what is happening and given the political and military aspects of the situation, I think we can speak of a much broader diaspora, people from post-Soviet space who live overseas, who care about Ukraine's fight, who see Ukraine as an inspiration for them, for the struggle in their own countries against authoritarian regimes and against external authoritarian influences. I think that is a great encouragement for us. So we have been working with international partners, looking at how we can improve relations in trade and economic aspects, including the Foreign Policy Association. But we also started encouraging our own business mechanisms and organizations. So our branch has been in touch with New Zealand Chamber of Commerce. Unfortunately, the president of the chamber wasn't able to attend this meeting, but he sends his warmest greetings. And we are going to have a meeting with him very soon with the members of Ukrainian diaspora to start looking at establishment of New Zealand-Ukraine Business Association. That will be, I think, a great accomplishment for us, and we are hoping that a similar process will take place in Ukraine, and very soon we can start a relationship between partnering organizations. One of our good partner organization here is New Zealand-Polish Business Association, and they have been very helpful in advising us on how to go about the establishment of that organizations. And finally, if I may, just a little bit of New Zealand propaganda in a good sense in terms of what New Zealand can offer to Ukraine. New Zealand is one of the most open economic and trade markets in the world. And there is no reason why Ukrainian export cannot be increased significantly in New Zealand. New Zealand is a staunch supporter of rules-based economic order, of principles of WTO. It is one of the leading countries in various regional economic organizations, such as the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And from my understanding, Ukraine has shown interest in joining the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And I think New Zealand would be an important collaborator in that. Being a small country, for New Zealand, e-commerce is of immense importance, and that is a new avenue for collaboration. New Zealand, despite its small size, but thanks to active expat community of New Zealanders, has been helping in various countries with their transition to market economy, with their reform of governance. And New Zealand, of course, is very proud of being one of the least corrupt countries in the world and can offer something to various countries that need to improve and enhance their economic governance. So this is my very short presentation with my most cordial greetings to all of you from our community, and Slava Ukraini. Thank you.
Slava. Thank you very much, dear professor. Best wishes all New Zealand colleagues on behalf of all participants of our forum. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot once more.
Thank you.
Колеги, ми з вами вичерпали.
Dear colleagues, we have already exhausted the agenda for the first session, and using this opportunity, I would like to express my gratitude to all the participants who participated in this first panel. First of all, to esteemed speakers who connected us online and were present offline, and Also, I would like to thank the diplomatic corps. Namely, we have the ambassador from Moldova, and Argentina is connected online. And also a lot of our friends from different diplomatic institutions and establishments are also connected. We sure did a lot through this first session, and I wish the same success to the colleagues to second session. And now I would like to hand over the mic to Ali Chabuk, who the project manager in IOM, who will be the facilitator of the second session. And glory to Ukraine. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ali Chabuk. I'm a project officer at the International Organization for Migration. And it is my pleasure to facilitate second presentation session on engagement of Ukrainian diaspora in economic development or rebuilding of Ukraine. As was mentioned earlier today, Ukrainian diaspora is a huge and actually diverse pool of resources, be it skills, expertise, or finances that they can and will bring to Ukraine. With this, I would like to proceed with the introduction of the speakers of the panel. Pan Sergei Tsevkach from Ukraine Invest. Maxim Bondarenko, you are replacing him, okay? Please join the stage. Pan Eugene Choli, Honorary Consul of Ukraine in Montreal, Canada, joining us online. Pani Tatiana Chuzha from Polish Investment and Trade Agency, joining us offline, please. Pan Michael Baskin, Ukrainian Crisis Center in Ireland, joining us online. Pan Yaroslav Romanchuk, Association of Ukrainian Businesses in Poland, Chairman of the Board, also joining us online. And finally, Stefan Romani of Ukrainian World Congress, First Vice President, also joining us online. So before I give the floor to our speakers, I would like to make a few highlights, a few facts about Ukrainian diaspora, Ukrainian living abroad, which fits very well into our today's discussion. So Ukraine has a long history of immigration and large diaspora in high-income countries. These diasporas has supported democratic and economic development both before and during the war. Remittances corresponded to 7% of the national GDP in 2021, making Ukraine one of the 10 largest actually remittance receiving countries in the world. The next one is that return migration will play an essential role in rebuilding of Ukraine. And finally, well-integrated Ukrainians will assist Ukraine actually reintegrate into European Union. So I'll stop here and I will give the floor to our first speaker representing Ukraine Invest. I think we have 5 minutes per speaker remaining. So please, the floor is yours.
Вітаю всіх учасників цього чудового заходу. Дякую.
I welcome all the participants of this nice event. I'm very thankful for the invitation to be present here to represent our organization. I'm the head of Admission Advisory Department at Ukrainian Invest. We have been established in 2016, and since 2018 we are a public agency under the umbrella of Ministry of Economy Ukraine. And namely, our role, this comes from our name, so we try to attract and involve Ukrainian and foreign investments, and also Ukrainian and foreign private projects. During several years, previous several years, we involved and deployed over $3 billion in the USA, and since 2022, the full-scale facilities, we involved and deployed over $1.5 billion of US. And we use two approaches: reactive and proactive. Reactive is when we are addressed by foreign investors on any issues, namely how seeking support in partnership or business landscape, or let's say business placement in Ukraine. So we work in the reactive way, say within the 5 industries: this furniture, agro, decarbonization, green economy and engineering, and transport. In 2022, we provided over 80 business consultations. We deployed over 150 million of US dollars of investments. We provided over 1,000 of consultancies of how to invest in Ukraine and make business in Ukraine. We conduct over 30 projects, altogether amounting to 2.7 billion of US dollars, and we are in the studies. I think lots of people heard about it.
And it is in the role of the investment nurses that we provide support for the big investment project. For the scale of investment increased from 20 to 12 million euros. And we also participate in the development of certain legislative acts related to investment activities. And like to mention, we are continuously encourage Ukrainian foreign potential investors, including Ukrainian diaspora, to inspire the investments to Ukraine. Why now? We do realize that the military risk, and we realize this hard time, but it is the right time to invest in Ukraine. Why? Because each project takes time to design it, and also each project which is risky would earn more money. Every dollar invested in Ukraine during the war would earn several dollars after the war is over. And after Ukraine becomes the EU member, the yield would even be higher. I'd like to express my gratitude once again for inviting. And please don't be scared of investing in Ukraine. Ukraine has significant human potential. We have many good fields for your investment, and you could earn a lot of money. So hopefully our war is over soon, and looking forward for our cooperation. Wish you all fruitful and peaceful day.
What I can say, invest in Ukraine. I would like now give the floor to Pan Eugene Choli, Honorary Consul of Ukraine in Montreal, who is joining us online.
Перш за все, хочу подякувати
First of all, would like to express my thanks to the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industries to participate in the International Business Days, the role of diaspora organizations in Ukrainian business rebuilding through markets internalization processes, and also for the opportunity to congratulate you with this forum and for raising very important issues during this very hard time when Ukraine has been conducting a genocide war against Ukraine. This is one of the many cases which illustrates that Ukraine is not only very courageous people, but also the people who has its vision for future, for best future for the country. In my opinion, these fantastic features of Ukrainian people are much more important for recovery than any business tactics. So I'm absolutely sure that Ukraine will not only reach its economic success, but it will become one of the members of the civilized nations. Being the former head of the Ukrainian Association of Diaspora, may assure you that the Ukrainian diaspora is fully committed to speeding up the inevitable victory of Ukraine and then transforming the country into one of the leading economies of the world. The organizers asked me to highlight the key areas of activities would help Ukrainian companies to enter the international markets. Although it could seem quite obvious, I would like to specify that the key factor that would support the success and of Ukrainian business of Ukraine is the Ukrainian armed forces to deliberate all the Ukrainian territories occupied since 2014, so that Ukraine could protect and defend its territorial integrity. So with the support of Western countries and development of Ukrainian military achievements should be the focus for all diaspora. The second factor is the tangible demonstration by Ukrainian government of zero tolerance to corruption, which is the biggest challenge to modernization and progress of Ukraine. The third key element is continuation by Ukraine of its Euro integration course, so that the financial institutions and businesses conduct business in a European manner, and so that the government, court, and financial system could be clearly understandable and provide the sense of justice and stability for potential foreign users of Ukrainian services and goods and other potential Ukrainian partners. The Ukrainian companies should participate in different business fairs and exhibitions and such events like our today's forum to cooperate with the Ukrainian embassies in Ukraine, the American Chamber of Commerce in Ukraine, Canadian Ukrainian Chamber of Ukraine, and British Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce, and also with the big structured Ukrainian diaspora headed by the Congress of Ukraine, and also to develop, in order to develop its networking in the civilized global business and be in the avant-garde of business requirements and current requirements. For example, using renewable energies and food without pesticides and NGOs, then develop digital economy, respect gender issues, and develop its metallurgy. Ukrainian businessmen should improve their English language knowledge because it's the universal business language. Ukrainian company could rely on Ukrainian diaspora globally, that it would play important promotion role to disseminate information about Ukraine, and in the countries where Ukrainian companies could develop their business and also be intermediate in coping with bureaucratic procedures, strengthening cooperation and seeking relations between the Ukrainian businesses and businesses in foreign countries. Also, the international communities should be all the time reminded that in this war, which wasn't provoked by Ukraine, Ukraine protects not only its right for existence and its own territorial integrity, but also the civilization values and civilization and territorial integration of the European Union. So it's important not only for the Ukrainians' business, but also for the European business to solve the challenge of transiting Ukrainian food and grain so that Ukraine could develop its own military complex to defeat Russia. Otherwise, the EU countries and other civilized countries of Ukraine will have to pay their own money to support Ukraine and to provide this military stuff. Helping Ukraine to export its food, which was grown or produced in a very hard situation of devastating war, is not just doesn't require some additional privileges for Ukraine in terms of exporting, but it's the primary need for the existence of the very existence of the European Union. Thank you for your attention. Glory to Ukraine.
Presentation and recommendations, which actually make a very straightforward and clear formula for Ukraine's success. Next, I would like to give the floor to Pani Tatiana Chuzha from the Polish Investment and Trade Agency. Please, the floor is yours.
Доброго дня. Мені подобається насправді той контекст.
So, good morning. I would like to, in the context of talking about Ukrainian diaspora, Ukrainian migration, it is very much in tune with my personal impression of Ukrainians in Poland I met just recently. They are very passionate and very committed and very active in business. I represent the Association of Ukrainian Business in Poland, and we work here in a Polish office in Kyiv, but we were relocated to Poland in the very first days of Ukraine, and we were engaged in all that activities to support Ukrainian citizens and Ukrainian businesses when they try to find their new ways and chains for commerce, for trade, for establishing chains and relations with Polish businesses. Also, the Ukrainian community in Poland increased, and currently it is about 950,000 people. What are they doing now? Most of them are employed, and also a significant support for Ukrainians was the fact that Poland allowed opening their own businesses before they could just invest in some other Polish businesses. So currently individual businesses opened by Ukrainians reach the number of 30,000. So the main areas include construction, civil works, because they used the experience of Ukrainians that worked in Poland before the war. The second area is IT, and Ukrainian IT guys can establish business relations at a higher level. And the third area is different services like hairdressing and other services. So what type of challenges Ukrainians have faced? The first was the experience in the specific Polish market, and here they were supported by different institutions and different banks. A lot of business courses and business services were provided, like Dear Business is the only advisory services, and we are proud to provide our premises for this center. And we cooperate with them on daily basis. On the very first days, we have provided 500 square meters for co-working space, and not only we, but many Polish business association provided such co-working spaces for Ukrainians. We also combine or establish relations between Polish and Ukrainian businesses for future Ukraine recovery. I think that Polish businesses, after having accumulated their experience in other markets, could support Ukrainian businesses in this area. Thank you for your attention and invite for further cooperation.
The Ukrainians are migrating from one co-working place to another co-working place, but hopefully, and when times allows and security, etc., we are, of course, all expecting them to migrate back to Ukraine and bring their experience, expertise, and resources that have been able to accumulate back to Ukraine and contribute to Ukraine's economic development here. Thank you very much. I would like now give the floor to Pan Michael Baskin from Ukrainian Crisis Center in Ireland, who is joining us online. Mr. Baskin, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues, dear partners and friends.
Звісно, сьогоднішній форум
Our today's forum is really very important. I'd like to express my gratitude to the forum organizers and for the opportunity to speak here, and it is my honor to be present in the forum together with the people who are striving for Ukraine to be a prosperous country. As a representative of the Association of Ukrainian Crisis Center in Ireland, I would like to emphasize our important role in establishing economic network and relations with Ukraine. A lot of very important and meaningful things have been said by the previous speaker, and since I'd like to emphasize that while making decisions, we need to be flexible and very prompt, because everybody who deals with the business and economy really understands that it's very important, especially in the crisis environment we are all operating in the recent 18 months. I'd like to shift immediately to our suggestions that we have identified within our Ukrainian Crisis Center in Ireland. That we have, the first one is engaging Diaspora to the Advisory Council. We would suggest to establish advisory councils under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, embassies, and it would be a virtual platform for business which would be operating globally. It would enable sharing information and support each other and promote Ukrainian businesses. Then mentoring and training programs, which have been mentioned several times today. When Ukrainians come to other countries and try to establish their businesses abroad, they face different challenges like culture, language, knowledge of local legislation. For example, in Ireland, out of 5,000 of Ukrainian diaspora in February 2022, the number of Ukrainians increased multiple times. The representatives of middle businesses, they are really would like to committed to continue running business, and we could express our respect to them.
And Ukrainians are really very energetic. They fight for their country, they help army, they are energetic in doing business. So many of them need just simple, understandable navigation in some broad country. That's why we would like the mentorship program and knowledge program for SMEs in, like, from construction industry or services industry. Well, first of all, you should take into consideration that Ukraine is the country of engineers in engineering. Namely, we are people that are very capable to produce and develop different products. In there, we can compete with the biggest economies in the world. That's why Ukraine, same as Ireland, is an IT country. This is a crossroad between Europe and America. And we specified for us that even small businesses, I mean, let's say relatively small businesses, have the opportunity to successfully establish and develop in Ireland, for example, gaining experience, establishing partnerships with the local businesses successfully. But what we would like to see is a more consolidated and less bureaucratic relationship between the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry and public agencies responsible for developing Ukrainian business, namely such organization as ours, which is involved in such activity rather recently. And we also need help and support in order to establish some joint platform, also financial support in order to promote Ukrainian businesses, advertising Ukrainian services in the economy as a whole. And I hope that the joint efforts can provide the needed tools to overcome those challenges. And that's why I call upon other public and business representatives to consider creation of consolidated platform providing finances for startups and businesses eager to reach a global market. And I wait for and looking forward for the active discussions to come in specific steps in glory to Ukraine and those who are same active in such a difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you for your recommendations and suggestions, which I find very practical. I took note of all of them, so there is something indeed to think about. I would like now to give the floor to our next speaker, Pan Yaroslav Romanchuk, Association of Ukrainian Businesses in Poland, who's joining us online. Please, Pan Romanchuk, the floor is yours.
Вітаю, колеги із польського міста.
Welcome, colleagues from Poznan. This is a Polish city where we started our first day Congress on Ukrainian recovery under the motto of the joint economic future. We talked a lot with the Polish ambassador, Mrs. Varich, and we expressed hopes that we will overcome this period of let's say, presidential runs, and we hope that the situation will come back to normal. We are working together with this association since the very wave of relocation, I mean, migrants from Ukraine from 2014-2015. So we decided and we came to joint decision to create the this association of Ukrainian businesses in Poland. We achieved to gain good support. We established good relationship with businesses, local businesses, and we're quite active, also working together with the Ukrainian embassy in Poland, and we took decision that we have to somehow change approach and to be rather more practical. Me, I am the investor. I'm also the taxpayer as a businessman, and thanks to support of Ukraine embassy in Poland, we really provided for all the kind of services in Poland to Ukrainian businesses. And our main task is to create the comfort environment for Ukrainian investors, namely starting from 2014 till the beginning of war. We got several locations now. It is over 350. It's they increased twice in number, and our developments that we achieved within the period before the war allowed us to reach and develop quick and functionable decisions for Ukrainian businesses, namely relocated businesses, namely in advocating and consultative practices, namely when we talk about Ukrainian businesses in Poland. From one side, we support and we understand the local governments, and from the other side, these are the availability of resources, namely for the Ukrainian investors coming to Polish market. And yes, we have to work quite well together with the loans agencies. Namely, we developed such brochures, informative brochures on how to get the loans in Poland, and we distributed thousands of them among the Ukrainian businesses. And I think that we have the unique opportunity for the coming 100 years to develop the jointly Ukrainian-Polish businesses. We make decisions, and together with Mr. Svarich, we printed this book for in Polish language for Polish businessmen, explaining in helping the Polish businessmen who work and who are eager to develop the partnership, and we try to deliver it and to disseminate among Polish businesses. And from the other side, we started to analyze the opportunities on Ukrainian economy recovery in order to really reach good developments for the joint Ukrainian-Polish business partnership and to improve and develop. Yes, I really have a very optimistic view on that in our future. Yes, it needs work, it needs effort, since we have to take into consideration the competitiveness, but I think everyone will find its own place. And for Ukraine, the biggest challenge is the equity development. First is the gain public support, then how to motivate Ukrainians to come back to Ukraine. Next, how to socialize and to help to return to society the militaries, the Ukrainian soldiers, namely who developed PTSD in how to help them to socialize a normal, peaceful life. So these are one of the questions that we are really concerned in trying to develop in there. And thanks for the opportunity to speak, and glory to Ukraine.
That you raised, these are open-ended questions that is a really good food for thought for all of us. Now I would like to give the floor to our next speaker, Pan Stefan Romaniuk from Ukrainian World Congress. Please, Pan Romaniuk. Romaniev, the floor is yours. Pan Romaniev.
Доброго дня.
Good morning, dear friends. My wishes from Australia, glory to Ukraine, and thanks the Lord, glory to Lord. And let me welcome you on behalf of our President Pavlo Grod and Olena Kosharna, who is the Vice President, and namely the personally involved in economic issues. Let's omit the politics, since we have another enemy in there, and so we really also fight in there, and we will win. So let's start from Australia, and I will go further. When Valery Korol and other chamber members came first to Australia, over there they were asked, what is Ukraine? What is Ukrainian businesses? Nobody knew nothing about, but now it's a big interest to Ukrainian businesses, and from the point of view that first of all Ukraine should be provided help on military area, humanitarian area, with armaments and food, namely our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the UN Assembly supported President Zelensky in the sense that the Russia's enemy cannot have veto rights, and we will provide the support in this area. In over $20 million we provided in humanitarian aid from the sides of Australia, like Bushman and others who participate in there. But let's talk about the Ukrainian World Congress and how we can help through this Congress. So we are really dispersed all over the world. We heard about Ireland and Poland and other, yes, and over there the diasporas, they thinking not only the humanitarian aid but also about investments, also how to finance businesses, Ukrainian businesses. Plus from the war, yes, what is a terrified thing, but namely in there, the deal in CIT, representatives, they came to different parts of the world, and they also calling upon to support businesses with Ukraine. And as our diaspora before and after the war, it two different things. Yes, people transfer money for Ukraine, and up to $8 billion were officially transferred to Ukraine. It's also investment. Let me mention several things, specific things. First of all, when we talk about businesses in namely about Australia, we know that we agreed to lowering tariffs and excises to the Ukrainian products. In tariffs were withdrawn or cut down, which is a big plus for Ukraine, and also to free from double tax Ukrainian businesses, since Ukrainian businesses in Australia pay double taxes. That's why we raised this issue to discuss and came to some good positive results. First of all, another moment is coordination. Yes, we are many altogether, and altogether we can do a lot for Ukraine, namely in these difficult times of war, as well as the post-war peaceful times for economic recovery of Ukraine. And so we would recommend to make even more of such forums as ours. And we mentioned several global expos for Ukraine. It's very important to participate in global expos. Ukraine is now on the top of the wave. Everyone tries to help Ukraine, so we can use these global expos and fairs to show the Ukrainian market. It is also very important and gives a lot of opportunities. Next, normative base and database, namely of what is required. It's also important. Next, we met with Minister Kuleba and the readiness of Asian countries to invest in Ukraine. It also very good, interesting thesis. We have Chetan Eke, the supporter who came to Ukraine, and namely who's heading our Ukrainian Australian Business Forum. Let's think about Asia. They have money, and let's raise the interest in Ukraine among those Asian businesses, namely education, technologies, defense, in military industries. Namely, we have negotiations with Australian private businesses. We know that we have iron ore and other things like beverages and food, namely quite popular now, is to bring to Australia different food and beverages from Ukraine. And this is a good sign of interest to Ukraine among Australian markets. And so we have to develop plans and first of all be transparent. And just to conclude, namely my colleague from Ireland mentioned that is to make Ukrainian diaspora somehow official, since we see that there are lots of negotiations on the governmental levels about war and so on. But namely, yes, Ukraine have to understand the importance of Ukrainian diaspora on the global level, and how diaspora can also provide for negotiations in what we can reach through Ukrainian diaspora, how Ukrainian diaspora could provide to Ukraine. And that's why Ukraine has to be ready politically to negotiate with Ukrainian diasporas, and we have to raise up the Ukrainian diaspora representativeness. And namely, we have to discuss it, and namely those who are in, they should understand the importance.
And also we can see that there are people who from diaspora who working in Ukraine, like Olena Kasharna and some other people. So they demonstrate that there is the general understanding of the importance of being present in the Ukraine is here, and the more possibilities we will have for communicating under the events like today's forum would be really valuable. Thank you, and glory to Ukraine.
And I think we are right in time to wrap up our second presentation session. In conclusion, I would like to thank everyone for your participation and contribution to this very interesting and relevant topic to Ukraine. Diaspora's engagement is indeed a relevant topic in the context of economic rebuilding or economic development of Ukraine. However, I'm at the same time convinced that there is more room for improvement in terms of coordination, and all these questions that have been raised today still remain relevant. And I'm convinced that we, representing different organizations, will continue engagement with the Ukrainian diaspora. IOM in particular will continue factoring in Ukrainian diaspora in its economic empowerment or community development projects, as well as keeping our doors open for cooperation on different levels, both on the government and non-government levels. So thank you very much once again, everyone, for your participation and contribution to this session. And I wish you good luck and enjoy the rest of the event in online format. Thank you.
Thank you.